Part of this series, unless you want to do like a post-nuclear war. I do know that the original series that they did, that was released like 10 years ago, was originally going to do a post-nuclear war, but it's now time to end it all. End it all. Two ideologies, two battles. So Japan was nuked because the space program to basically go to the moon. And China does not want that. China says, no, 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 no. You're not going to the moon. Okay, so the Great World War III begins. The first advances are made in the Ukraine and Belarus, as they're not very strong countries. So they are being defeated pretty quickly. Surrounded by both the USA and the EU countries as well. Saving of Hungary as well, being invaded relatively quickly, alongside Serbia, who was invaded by its surrounding countries. It is now mostly restricted to that area right there. China and Persia failed to advance in in India, and are actually pushed back slightly. And even invade parts of Myanmar, which is now owned by Thailand. Thai Empire. North and South Korea is invaded relatively quickly by the North Korea. North Korea defeats South Korea, almost getting to the bottom here. And an invasion by the Philippines and Australia, and liberate parts of Borneo, and also invade the Thai Empire's owned part of the area. Indonesia also helps to invading from the south, cutting off this area. The battle in Africa begins, and basically the East African Union invades the Congo as well, and tells Angola to hold itself until they get to there to attempt to cut off the Congo from the South African Empire, who also is doing pretty well in this war, invading basically southern Mozambique, who joined NATO to defend itself from South Africa. Bolivia is also being invaded relatively quickly, as they're not a very strong country. They're surrounded by countries that are much stronger than it, and also with the help of the United States sending troops to South America. This is a pretty easy war. The Aztecs are also invaded by the Central American Union, and basically they are now basically pushed back to over here. So things are not looking, and also the invasion of Oman begins as well. So things are not looking too good for the Beijing Pact. They are losing on every front. So the Beijing Pact basically asked the Italian alliance, the Brazilian, Portuguese, Italian alliance to join them, or else they would lose, basically. Also, they do invade the Netherlands and Belgium, as well as the NATO, well, they're not called allies, it's NATO, invades Germany, or the new Nazis are being defeated. There was brief argument between the alliance, but they eventually accept to join this little alliance with China. This effectively makes NATO paranoid, as they were basically winning. Okay, they were basically winning this war very easily, and China needed new allies. All of the front lines are basically pushed back, especially the one in South America and the one in Mexico, where it was pushed back there too. Also, the Indian one is pushed back, and also meanwhile, the island battle still continues, and they're able to take control of southern Borneo. However, they're not able to move past Sumatra, basically, and they're also pushed back in Burma as well, as India is unable to fight off against the new armies. Same thing with the African front is pushed back as well. Also, Ethiopia and Sudan joined the war as well, starting to invade the East African Union as well, and also invading southern Egypt, the mostly underpopulated area of southern Egypt. Meanwhile, several NATO members do fall to this new country, to the new alliance, including Saudi Arabia, which its capital is captured as well, and they were being invaded from this side here and from the north as well, taking all of the valuable coastal land, leaving them just a desert. NATO warns no members would surrender to the Beijing Pact, as it will cause China to win. Angola is completely engulfed and surrounded and defeated. Meanwhile, Mozambique is being pushed back to its border with the East African Federation. The British colonies are also being taken out by the Congo as well. Here, and Chile is basically defeated by Brazil very quickly, as Chile is not the most powerful country in the world. And they also take this area too. And they basically advance towards here in this chokehold. The Aztecs move across the southern United States like this, and Cuba also takes out Florida. Meanwhile, the Central American Republic is pushed back as well. The Italians pushed back to here, and with the help of the Spanish, Morocco is pushed back alongside with the French Algeria. France is surprisingly holding on quite well. The Netherlands and Belgium are taken out. Unlike in World War II, France does not surrender, despite being surrounded on all sides. And this part, they are basically defeated at this point. Kazakhstan basically leaves, as they don't want to basically be destroyed, so they leave the war. As they feel that the US and allies have betrayed them. Turkey is pushed back to this area here, and all the Balkans are taken out very, very quickly, with them not taking the Istanbul area and them moving to here. NATO and also India is pushed back to here, and South Korea is completely defeated. NATO is on the verge of losing. And their new intel basically says there is something around here something that's not that far from Kazakhstan that's powering the whole Beijing Pact. That's powering the whole alliance. Ethiopia agrees to help NATO, and Sudan becomes a neutral country as well, getting rid of all claims in these areas. They find the power plant, they destroy it, and all gains made by the Beijing Pact are pushed back. Many countries are liberated until something bad happens. Germany does not want to lose. They do not like the idea of losing a war to basically, because they fought for decades to finally get a resurgence, and basically they have collected several nukes like North Korea has, and the first thing they do is nuke Toronto and Washington D.C. They also nuke Paris and London as a last effort to survive. This responds to the USA nuking Berlin and also nuking the city, I think Vienna down here, and also Kiev for some reason. Yeah, Kiev. And then China nukes India. They nuke these 4 areas right here. So India retaliates with its own nuclear arsenal and nukes northern China. And also nukes Shanghai. Okay. The first country to collapse because of this is Ukraine, who goes into a bomb shelter because the government basically collapsed from the one nuke. Moscow is also nuked, alongside Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Atlanta, and Jacksonville, and the Texas Triangle up here, and El Paso are nuked as well, and a bunch of areas in Texas. Also, a bunch of areas up here are nuked as well, as a lot of the U.S.'s nukes are stored here. Also, Anchorage is nuked too. Mexico City is nuked alongside this area on the border of Texas, and this city and these 2 areas are nuked here, and Brazil is now nuked as well along its coast. Meanwhile, Kinshasa, which is around here, is nuked, and several major cities in South Africa are nuked as well. Pyongyang is nuked, and several cities in North and South Korea are nuked as well, causing North Korea to basically be destroyed. The Kim dynasty retreats to the mountains as well. Istanbul is nuked, as well as Rome, and also up here, and several more cities in France are nuked, alongside the UK. And also several cities and 2 cities in Ireland are nuked too. Even Iceland is nuked. This caused the whole world to go into chaos, as well as several colonial cities are nuked as well, and the East African Federation also receives a few of their own. Also nuking these areas like the Serengeti, which a lot of the nukes are stored. It is Ababa, and several cities in Ethiopia are nuked. Saudi Arabia is nuked as well, with several of the cities being nuked, alongside Oman, and Israel is nuked by a lot, by the Germans. Yes, that's... Tehran is also nuked, alongside several cities in Iran are nuked, and Kurdistan is nuked. The world continues to get nuked and nuked over and over and over again, as well as countries start to collapse. Canada collapses after 4 nukes. Italy does, France does, the UK does, and all of NATO is instructed to go to a bunker. As countries continue to collapse. As nuclear winter starts. Mali is nuked. The French colonies down here, Mauritania is nuked as well. South America didn't experience much nukes until now. Now they're being nuked to oblivion. South America thought they were safe from nukes, but they weren't. Colombia is nuked. Several parts of Panama is. Mexico is nuked a lot as well. Cuba has a couple nukes, and the USA is the most nuked country. Various parts of the north is nuked, and of course California is, and parts of here, and a lot of the Northeast is nuked as well, as a lot of the population is there, even parts of the South, and even north of Michigan and parts of Canada is too, as leaders don't really have control over where the nukes are landing anymore, so even neutral countries are now being nuked, as now we're seeing mutually assured destruction. Many nukes land in Africa as well, including tons in Egypt and tons and even places like Somalia. Well, neutral countries like Somalia are being nuked. Mozambique is being nuked as well, and much of South Africa is being nuked, and also parts of Madagascar. And also Madagascar got nuked as well. Europe is still being nuked a lot, including Portugal, Spain, Germany, which is nuked a lot because they're the ones that started it. And there's tons of nukes in the Balkans as well. And also several even in Scandinavia and even Scotland. The Middle East is one of the most nuked places in the world. Afghanistan has a few nukes. Central Asia has a few nukes, including Kazakhstan. I forgot they did rejoin NATO, though, but now the whole world's nuked. India is nuked a lot by Persia. China is nuked a lot by NATO. Siam and Myanmar are nuked a lot. Borneo is. Philippines is. Even Papua New Guinea is nuked. Australia is. And we're seeing the mutually assured destruction happen. Several more countries collapse, including Bolivia collapses. Brazil goes to the Amazon rainforest. Many neutral countries collapse. Central America, Mexico collapse as well. No, or the Aztecs, basically, they collapse. The United States collapses as well. Several African countries collapse. Even countries that haven't been nuked, like Senegal. South Africa collapses. Somalia collapses after 2 nukes. Yemen does. And now the nuclear winter is coming in. There's still a few countries remaining. And the rest of the world, most of the world leaders countries have collapsed, or the leaders have basically went towards nuclear bunkers, as well. Australia does, New Zealand collapses. And there we go. Also, Taiwan collapses and Mongolia does. The last country to not collapse is Switzerland, where it goes into a bunker. And there we go. The entire world has been destroyed. No country survived. And no, I'm not going to make every country, every piece of land, like the islands and stuff, as that would take forever. But we did all the major areas, so the world has collapsed because of nuclear war. Goodbye.